Hello, hello. Welcome back. Today we're looking at a camera. Canon Ixus. Model number... Oh, what model number is this one? No idea if that is a model number. Anyway, that's what it looks like. And it does not turn on. We have a battery. Battery seems to be charged, but it's a pretty skinny little battery, so maybe it has no capacity left in it. Let's find out. This particular battery is rated at 680 milliamp hour. So what I've got here is a purpose-built battery holder. You can find these in many stores. And what I'm going to do is connect up my dummy load here. Get the dust off it so you can see it. I'm just going to use my meter probes as an anchor point for the alligator clips, and we will probe on the battery like that. We can see it says 4 volts, so let's crank the current up a bit and just see what happens. So we're at 400 milliamps and 3.97. If we go up to 670 milliamps, and it's 3.8. So I'm happy that there should be enough power in this battery to start the camera. And if we pop the battery in, and it goes, which way does it go? That way, I think. Shut the lid because cameras need the shut before they turn on. Push the power button, and we get no activity. How does one get into this? Looks like 2 screws at the bottom there. One's holding the front cover on, one's holding the back cover on. I'll just leave the front cover on for now. There's one on the side. There's 2 on the side actually. Might be it. Let's see if it'll start to separate. There you go. I wonder if there's one on the top. Not immediately obvious if there is. Let's pop that off. Ah, there's a screw in the side there. Anything further down? One more down there. Yeah, it might come off a bit more freer. Maybe. Okay, let's get that last one out. Haha. Okay. Here we go. It just sort of popped up at the sides there. They're going to come out through the bottom or not. Okay, there we go. It just snapped apart. Right, well, what have we got to look at? There's a couple of things we need to check, I guess. Does it have a trapdoor? Does it have a battery door switch that may not be active? So it doesn't know the battery door's shut. Yeah, because everything's on the back under the screen. I think we might need to take the screen off and go from there. Which will probably just pop up. Quite often they're just a friction fit around the edges there. So you just get underneath it and give it a little lift, and it may have a clip somewhere. Is that going to be the case in this instance? I don't know so much. You may have to actually undo this. There's a metal bracket that the buttons are stuck down to. There is a couple of screws there, so let's get them off. The screen is sitting underneath this edge, so it's almost like it does lift at this end and pull out. Maybe I just need to encourage it a little bit more, because it definitely wants to come out. It may even have some adhesive under it. In fact, I think it does. Oh, and I think I just released it. There we go, a little gentle upward pressure. I was going to drop a bit of alcohol underneath it and that would have let it go certainly as well. So now if I... Okay, that's going to come up. There's no flex under there, it's all held at the other end, definitely. I wonder if this plastic top section probably just pops off. Maybe. Oh, maybe not. Oh, maybe. No, there is a screw on that, so I'll just take that off. And we're off. Being careful around the flash area. There's going to be a high voltage capacitor under there. It may have some charge. It's unlikely in this instance, given that it's dead. It could have been dead for a long time, but there is still a slim chance it could have charge in it. Okay, let's try removing these screws and see if the whole plate comes off. Might have to unlatch that little flex down in there. Get that side one. And is it going to want to separate? No, not perfectly. I'm wondering if maybe like this flex could be all stuck down. Part of the assembly process could be to fold it over and stick it down, making it hard to undo. Not impossible. I would have thought that metal frame would come off. I have seen other cameras do that though. Well, the flash unit just fell off completely. You can see the capacitor there. It's all fairly tucked away, so you shouldn't be able to touch it inadvertently. Then we've got the mechanism there, which is a bit loose now. I think I might have to lift up all this flex and see what's going on. How well is it stuck down? Might not be too bad. It's coming up quite easily actually. It's more pushed over these little steel pegs, so no glue underneath. That's nice. Any glue under that? Is that the speaker? Might be a speaker. It does want to lift. Yeah, gently. A little bit of sticky under that. There we go. Definite sticky under that corner. Yep. Let's drop a little bit of alcohol there so we don't tear it. You can just see a little bit of double-sided tape there. It's probably a bit too much. That'll definitely release it. There we go. And as that ISO evaporates, the stickiness will come back into it. That means the whole thing must sort of slide this way, I guess. Can that happen? Oh, it can happen. Okay, so this section's separate. That exposes this screw here. Quite tight, so turn slowly. You don't want to strip it out. You want to slip on it. And then what does that mean? Here's the flex for the screen. So that's where we need to disconnect that from. So we should better lift that up and off. Like so. And disconnect that. So if we lift that little brown flap gently. Is it that way or is it the other way? Oh, I think it might be the other way. I think they all go in reverse on this thing. Yeah. So that pops that way. There we go. Now, what have we got? Oh, there's another screw there. I missed one. But you can see the PCB, the main processor, I believe. Oh, and another one. There's screws everywhere on this thing. And then this should come away. This flex goes to the imaging sensor on the back, and this flex here will go to the motor controls, servo controls for the lens mechanism and such. I wonder where that, maybe, I don't think there is a door switch. I haven't seen one. Normally it's quite obvious. I'm going to go with none on this model. I think maybe what we need to do is maybe plug the battery in. and see if we have any rails present on the board, or we could just go straight into short searching and just probe some of those capacitors there and see if there's anything that resembles a short. The battery's coming out in still a pretty charged state, so I don't think there's a short that's killing the battery, but there could be one stopping it turning on. Okay, jumping into diode mode, and we will go and start probing. Let's find something that's probably ground. Would be this exposed copper trace in the corner here. Of course there's nothing to push on because everything's loose and flimsy. That's fantastic. So let's probe there and start. So we got one end on ground and the other end should not be, and that's how we're going to test all these capacitors. Of course, you don't need to test the other end. If it doesn't beep on the first time you hit it, that must be okay. So you can cut down a lot of time. There's a whole bunch up in the top I'm interested in. So they're all tied together. Right. No. If it beeps on the first one, you want to check the second one, of course. Kind of overkilling it here. Really should have checked the power button first. It could just be that simple. Really. Yeah. Okay, I think all the caps are fine. Let's look at the power button. Let's stop being stupid and start with the basics. If this little tactile button underneath the white sticker is bad, it's going to be because it's just dirty. I can't quite trace through the little traces under there are pretty fine. I can't really follow them to see where it goes to check it at that end there. They're pretty tiny, but I think if we just peel the sticker off and make sure that it's clean. Whoa, that looks pretty clean to me. I've never seen anything quite that clean after regular use. I think that's fine. It doesn't mean it's working, but it looks super shiny. It looks like it's brand new. I can't imagine that's going to be our issue. I think we'll need to push the battery in and start making some measurements there. I'm picking around here. This will be a voltage regulator given the capacitors around it, and it could be activated by the on-off switch, but then again that might just go directly to here. We don't know what's on the underside. There's a bunch of caps on the underside. We may need to test the underside. How does that open up? So that can come out, and that one can come out. Look at that. Any sign of a lid switch? I don't think so. That's where the SD card goes in, but there's really nothing as far as a micro switch or anything, so clearly they don't care like some do. That's definitely a regulator circuit in the top left. Let's check some caps in that area. Yep, these little inductors here, the black ones, they're fine. You can check those directly. And that looks like a short. So this little black thing here is an inductor, I believe. Yep, because we've got a connection straight through it, just like this one. But if I probe on ground and on one end of that inductor, we have a short to ground. The other end's the same because that's an inductor, it's just a bit of wire. So we have a short to ground, which you would think one of these capacitors might be part of, but it's not. So now I've got to have a closer look Oh, that inductor's got a short to ground. But not the associated capacitors. That's unusual. You would, that's concerning, because that tells me these inductors feed into a capacitor. Yeah, normally they feed into a capacitor. So that one and that one. Okay, recording. I didn't think we were actually going to get this far. Trying to make my microscope camera work, and my PC wouldn't detect it. It just wouldn't work. And I was about to reboot the PC. You know, I tried shortening the cable to it. Nothing was working. And then I was like, no way. My LED studio light. So I unplugged the power. It wasn't even turned on, but I unplugged the power adapter for it, and everything worked again. It is so noisy. I have to stop using it. Anyway, here we are. Here we are looking at the board in question. We are looking at this inductor here. So we go one probe on ground. Clearly a short across there. That comes down into the chip. There's a trace that comes down into the chip. One end in the chip. The other end. Where does it go? Where does it go? See the... Does one end of that go to a capacitor? What do we got there? Okay. So that goes to that capacitor. That's the ground side of the capacitor. We have our diode comes up here. Does that diode come off the inductor? Yep. So the inductor gets switched, rectified through the diode into this capacitor, which is not showing a short to ground. We've got negative here, positive here, no short to ground. Sadly, that tells me that the only way this inductor can have a short to ground is through our power IC. Power control IC, and I'm not going to have one of those. So at this point, I could pull out a thermal camera and see if this heats up when I apply current here. Pretty sure that it is going to heat up. And we have two rails, effectively. We've got the positive, the cathode going to that capacitor, and the anode off the inductor here. But up here, we've got the cathode on the inductor, and the anode, is that on that capacitor there? It is. So with a diode in reverse like that, this could be creating a negative rail for some reason. So I think there's a negative rail coming off this one, and because that diode goes to there, so we know that this capacitor is the one for this inductor, and we can see that there's no short across that capacitor. So again, from the inductor back to the chip, I'm calling the chip as bad. Game over, folks. That was a quick one. I'm going to call that a no fix in this instance. So thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.